in the 8th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus went on with his disciples to the village of Caesarea Philippi, and on the way he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" And they answered him, "John the Baptist, and others Elijah, and still others one of the prophets." And he asked them, "But who do you say that I am?" Peter answered him, "You are the Messiah." And he sternly ordered them not to tell anyone about him. And then he began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He said all this quite openly. But Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." He called a crowd with his disciples, and he said to them, "If anyone want to become my followers, let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? Indeed, what can they give in return for their life? For those who are ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous, sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in glory of his Father with the holy angels." And this is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Several years ago, I was on the board of directors of something called Pentecost Mission, located in Omaha, Nebraska. And a couple times a year, I would have to fly out to Omaha, to which there was no direct flight from Bradley Field in Hartford, Connecticut. And Bradley, you know everything, I guess. And so you'd have to get off at Chicago. Now, have any of you had to put up with O'Hare Airport? A nightmare. It's this huge H. And whenever I landed and had to change planes, I was at this end of the H. Had to come down over. Then you went under this tunnel with all these kind of neon lights, and kind of trying to keep you happy. Because your flight is way over here on the other side. How they ever figured out how to torture people like that is really beyond me. But of course, sooner or later you do get to Omaha. And on this one particular day, as I was down at baggage claim, this young woman, I don't know, maybe no more than 25, came up and threw her arms around me. And she said, "Oh, Professor, it's so good to see you." I thought, okay, now what? "Why didn't you tell me you were coming to Omaha? Can we do lunch?" "Well, no, it's kind of short business trip." Well, you better let me know next time you're coming." I said, "Oh, I will." And she walked away and I stood there, stunned. A case of mistaken identity, right? Never saw it. Case of mistaken identity is what this text is all about. First of all, let's take a look at what Peter says, first of all, to Jesus. "Who do you say that I am?" He says Messiah. But notice it doesn't go any further than Messiah. So, okay, Peter at that time is one of the zealot type of people. He wants a Messiah who's going to kick out Rome. He wants to bring David's kingdom back. He wants all the glory stuff. And as such, he doesn't define Jesus as the Son of God, just a Messiah. And Jesus goes on to say, well, okay, let's take it from there. And then he goes on and he began to teach them what a Messiah was in his own mind. And all of this terrible stuff comes out. Great suffering, rejected by chief priests, scribes, elders, and be killed after 3 days rise again. And he said it all quite openly, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Out of the 12 disciples, nobody has the guts to rebuke Jesus but Peter. But you'll notice that all through the gospel. He often opens his mouth at the inappropriate times. Now, Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan." How bad can it possibly get? Recall how when he says that, it brings you back into the beginning of the Gospels, and Jesus is called out into the wilderness, right? Why? To be tempted by Satan. And Satan is using the same type of worldly type of thing that Peter thinks in his mind. Messiah means, okay, great one, bring back the glory, and so on. And Satan tempts Jesus in the wilderness and says, are you hungry? Turn the stones into bread. He appeals not to a godly spiritual side, but a bodily side. And then he takes him up to the pinnacle of the temple and he says, I'll give you all of this, every bit of it, if you just bow down and worship me. Appealing to pride and ego and greed. And it doesn't work. And now, Jesus is putting Peter in almost the same situation as that original Satan story. Peter becomes the Satan. And that is bad news. And so he rebukes him, and then he goes and he looks at the crowd and he says, look, if anyone wants to follow me, let me tell you how it goes. Let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me, for those who want to save their life will lose it. Turn the stones into bread. Just fall down, worship me. I'll give you the whole world. Be the Messiah that kicks out Rome. Be the Messiah that brings David to the kingdom back. All that stuff. All the stuff that's down in the dirt of the world. And those who lose their life for my sake and for the gospel will save it. So far so good. But now that question of who do you say that I am becomes a relevant one in our own lives, because at any given time, throughout the ages, there's always been somebody who wants to define who Jesus is. And I think, some of the TV evangelists will say, the reason for Jesus to come into your life is so that you be wealthy. Yes, that's what the cross is all about. Jesus gets crucified so that you can multiply your wealth. And every now and then I hear these little testimonies. Yes, I want to imitate their accent. That's not fair, because it's Southern. Well, I can't help it. I said here, I got this letter from Mrs. Smith down in Mississippi who said, I sent you my last dollar, and wouldn't you know, I had this grand aunt who died that I never knew I had, and now she left me $250,000. It works, she says, it works. That's what you can turn Jesus into. Stupidity. And the problem there is that in the church life and in this liturgy, it is only during Lent that culminates on Good Friday that we see the crucified Jesus. All other times, after Easter is over, we walk into the teaching of Jesus, we walk into the various aspects of his life. But once Good Friday is over and you get into the upstart of Easter, you can easily forget what Good Friday is all about. But Good Friday is the one place in this text where Jesus defines what that day is all about and says, this, Peter, is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. And so how do we work with that? Out in the world, there are a variety of people. Now, I look upon you and you say, who do you say that I am? And your hand went off. I'm looking right at you. I know who you are. But how about the people whose faces and bodies you've never seen? Who do you say that I am? And so now you have to go and discover what they did, because you have no personal contact. So all of a sudden you have to say to yourself, well, how do I know who Julius Caesar was? Well, I have to get the history books and find out what he did. Or if I really want to find out who Martin Luther was, I've got some pictures, kind of a stern-looking guy with a black hat on. But I really want to know who he is by studying his writings, what happened in the history of his life. But let's bring that even further. This week ago, this Saturday, we got together, so many of us, and we did Rise Against Hunger. And I think it was 23,580 meals repackaged. And it's sent out to people we'll never see. But I want to picture us in front of some of those people that are going to be receiving that food. Maybe 10 of them, and they look at us and they say, who do you say that I am? Because you see, once we can gather certain people into groups, we can rob them of their singular identity. If we say the poor, that's a collective word, isn't it? The poor. But we really don't know who they are. Or what does it really mean to say they are poor? And even beyond that, do not the poor have some dignity in their own lives that say, do not gather me into a pool of a group of people just defined by poor. I have a name. I am a person. I have a mom. I have a dad. I have children. I am more than just the poor. And so it was that as Jesus went about in his ministry, it wasn't just the crowds, it was his bumping into individual people who are defined in an interesting way, a Syrophoenician woman begging for Jesus to help her daughter, and that's the story of the crumbs falling under the table. And suddenly, you have more than a Syrophoenician woman. Now you have a mother who cries out for the life of her child. And she looks at you and says, who do you say that I am? I don't know your name, but I know that as a parent, what you are feeling at this moment. Who do you say that I am? You see, we cannot just have the resurrected Jesus in all his glory. If we forget and just tuck away Good Friday on one day a year, then we literally don't understand what this text is all about, because the corrective that Jesus gives to Peter is, it's not what you think it's all about. It's about the total giving of myself and my humanity to free people to think and go beyond just saying, who do you think I am? You've got to go out there and you've got to find out. So, I know that it's a lot easier to like the resurrected Jesus. It really is. And when it comes to Good Friday, we go, oh, do we have to go through this? All this pain, all of this talk of crucifixion and so on. But if we don't, then it's so easy to forget the people whose lives are crucified every day by hunger and want and poverty and disease. They're being crucified. And you can't have a constant Yahoo Jesus in front of you and understand what these people are going through. So if there's anything to be said about the text this morning, it says, there's two Jesus going on here, when he says, who do you say that I am? And all the apostles want to go straight to the big guys, the prophets, all the high and mighty people, and he pulls them right down into the dirt and says, no, this is who I am. I am the one who walks in suffering. And soon you will discover in my resurrection, as you thought that I was simply going to be your fulfilled Messiah, that in reality I have called you to see my suffering in every person that shall be born into this world who are denied food, quality, dignity as human beings. So, time to look at the text and say, if I only got a one-sided Jesus, the one that's not on the cross, then I'm only dealing with half of Jesus. You just got to look at this text and say, is he talking to me? Is he looking at me and saying, who do you say that I am? And if you only got one part of the story, then you'd only have one part of Jesus. So, let the grace of God inspire us to take the whole story of Jesus, not just the ones that make us feel good, but the ones that always pull at our hearts and say, this is what God is all about. And at any term in our life when we think, is there any hope for me in my despondency and so on, it is Jesus who says, let me tell you who I am. I am the one who loves to do business with humanity. So come on, talk to me. And then you've got the resurrected Jesus, but you also got the one who gave his life so that we can kind of live our lives for other people. Otherwise, doesn't work out too well. And all of a sudden, we can become part of that group that simply says, what is that Janis Joplin song? Oh, Lord, won't you give me a Mercedes-Benz? And that just isn't Jesus.